One of the important point I thought of Buddhism or the Buddha's teaching is that Four Noble Paths, I believe that's it's called, something like life is suffering, suffering has a cause, there's a way to address the suffering, and you can live with it, or something like that. I have to check more carefully what those 4 points are, but basically it's talking about the cause and effect. If you know the cause, cause and effect, you can find the way to live life well. And the way to live life well, in my view, is to connect to the heart and the way of the universe, the way of nature, which is absolute and nothing can be argued with. But the human argued, why do we live? Why she's pretty, he's not, and why I have this problem and he doesn't. I want to go there, but this prevents me. I had the case of computer problem for 2 weeks. My finance file was gone. Whatever happened, I thought about the cause and effects because I posted the video of me feeling like a high school age kid. My mind was clear and there's no worries. It's like a kid's. And I'm like a kid. I often say I'm like an eternal kid. And that's a great feeling. I was surprised that I had the same feeling that I have now when my mind is calm and quiet, feeling transparency inside. I had the same sense when I was high school and probably younger. Inquisitive kid, and not to be burdened by the weight of the what to do, but just be free. As you go through college and work, you have to do this, you have to do that, and then get married, and then you have this house, or this, that, this, that. But that was the rail put by someone, and I was reluctantly going through that. I remember going through this picture-taking ceremony of my class at the college, electrical engineering, computer science, stuff like that. And we watched straight to the camera, but something is wrong, I thought. So I turned off. I was rebellious. I was curious. What's beyond? And I think that curiosity was important for me. After cases of difficulties I had, I could go through that. And having gone through that, and at age 77, maybe I felt like a Buddha mentioned, the Four Noble Path, way to go beyond suffering. I was in the middle of the suffering because of this computer issue, but given that, I figured out this is not the end of the world, and I can leave the concern on the side and be like a kid. And my mind was clear. And it's interesting because I could have spent more time worrying about figuring out what to do. But if you have done whatever you could, there's nothing more to do. So you can be free. Maybe that's the background. And then this morning, for some reason, Johnny, Apple support person, called me all of a sudden without any appointment. And I happened to be able to respond. And she went through some legal issues and how to handle this and that. And about to go. She was about to go. I said, well, let's talk about this issue that you may not have had the full knowledge of. So I went through the logic without knowing how much she can explain, but I had some question. And in that process, long story short, I questioned something, and some magical thing happened. I can only think that's magic, because we went through this file, external disk inside, and there are two download happened, and the most recent one. But we saw the recent one, it's there, but the previous one was not recorded according to the time machine. But I was looking at the file again and clicking here and there while the app support person, Johnny, was with me and questioning this and that. And bingo, the file I thought was gone popped up out of the disk, whereas one information said there was no storage memory for those backup happened in November and January, recent January. And that was proven when I talked with Christina, and with her too. But just going through this process, maybe like a little kid, I found a way to open up this previously forgotten file or lost file of finance. There are various other issues that's very important for Apple to look into. So we're going to have a meeting in 6 days, July the 3rd, with the engineering people as we plan to do, which has been delayed. But some problem is solved, but other problems are still not solved. And the way of handling this in Apple support, I had some issues about it. So we talked about it and she understood and clarified things one step at a time. So that's what happened just a while ago. Whether that attitude, the questioning, curiosity had helped, I don't know. And the experience of last night, or maybe now too, that I feel my mind is open. Is this the state of being awakened? I keep saying, no mind, no self. Samadhi. And that's the state of kind of like a curiosity or openness, while accepting everything, so that you're not challenging as much, but kind of playing. Can we look at this way, look at that way? And something happened. And that did happen. I didn't consume on this problem, even though it took some time and energy away from me, but I went on step by step, resiliency, questioning, assurance, and come to the conclusion. Is being young correspond to their tenacity to address issues of unknown? I don't know if tenacity is the right word. But there is that energy, orientation, willingness to be open given the difficulties, even though you don't know how the world functions and what the future job is and what may happen. But you have this sense of acceptance. Things gonna work out. Don't worry, be happy. Kind of like that. No mind, no self, open mind, be like a kid. Don't dwell on it. Don't go where you may die. Do your homework and let the solution to come up. Nature's way. I call it the nature's way because it's beyond the mind. Mind can consume, search for it, but at a certain point, we can stop it. Did enough. Don't ruin your time and energy. You did your job. The worst case scenario is this. You can accept it. You can move on. So that may contradict this saying by Shogun Ieyasu Tokugawa. He said something like, life is like carrying a heavy load in your back and move on steadily. I think you can interpret perhaps in two ways. One is to have a discipline or endurance to go through the difficulties. There's the spirit, the energy, the will that is tied to the root of who you are, the heart, where the energy is found, so that you do your best to carry the load. And the other angle is, it looks like there's a heavy load, but there is none. At times we have to do things like any animals or tree may do when they hit the danger or storm or some accident, the human the way, same way. We all do that. We don't just sit around and do nothing and watch TV and drink beer. If you think that's life, it's not real. Any plant, animals go through difficulties without complaining. They're not watching TV, sitting on the sofa. They're always working. The energy is always prevailing. They're working all the cells. It may not look like it, but that's why the leaves there is green. And the bamboo there is standing still, even swaying in the wind. They're starting. And birds are seriously chirping, seriously mating, I don't know. Steady power of nature's way prevailing. They're living with their mission. And our mission, okay, you can have sit, drink beer, watch TV, rest. But if life is like that, it's not the real life. Let's keep this attitude of perseverance, perhaps, to carry the heavy load at times, but also with the spirit of not worrying about it, doing whatever needs to be done. Let me just share this story of the Genza Myokon Shin Buddhism. It's kind of like an opposite of Zen, more into compassion. Its story is something like this. He had a cow or an ox, don't know which, and that carries the heavy load for him. But he is so compassionate to the ox. I forgot the name of the ox. But he calls the name and appreciate, because he doesn't have to carry those, whatever the stuff that you carry from, say, rice paddy. And one time he said to the cow, talking to the cow, or the ox, whatever. In Japanese, you don't distinguish one or the other, so I'm a bit confused, it may look like. But he said, I'll carry your load. You are working so hard. So he was putting the heavy load on his back and going with him, trying to help. But then the moment came that he got so tired and had his load from the back to say to the ox or the cow, I hope I remember the name, because he called the name of the, please help me. And then he unloaded his back heavy stuff onto the cow or the ox. At the moment, he realized that's the power of Amida Buddha, that you don't have to carry a heavy load. Amida would carry it for you. So it's kind of like a fable, but he had the awakening moment at the time, in my view. You don't have to carry the heavy load, but you want to carry the heavy load if needed. His awakening may not be repeated by others. The situation depends on each fall into, in my view. But I think that's the kind of spirit, that we may be the one having a difficult time, but it may be our imagination. And there's a way to be with that situation, even if you don't know what the answer is. So if you have such a transformative experience, you may take more heavy load or find a way to carry it in a manner that comes with the answer. If you know the cause of the problem and know how to address it, you may be able to find out. But this one, you have to experience it. So it's experiential wisdom or experiential compassion that may build up in us to live well. Just a thought. Let's not be confined in our mind. Be curious with some level of endurance, and be positive as if the nature would help you, not by yourself. Why? Because the nature brought us to be who we are. Thank you.